Admit.
What time is it?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on.
And here we are coming on from Boulder Creek, California with myself and Mrs. Future, a.k.a. Sun.
Howdy.
And Bobby just joined us in from San Francisco.
Oh, we have Michael and Jaya here. They spent the night and they're heading up north to
Halle's.
Holly's place.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so got company. Yeah. Excellent. And today's a big Apple announcements from yesterday's big announcements. We're going to look at them a little bit today. We're going to kick them around with Taylor Barcroft, our Apple analyst in Santa Cruz. Taylor, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. It looks like you're in some kind of tropical paradise, but then that's the nature of virtual experiences.
Yeah, it's a Zoom virtual background.
Not bad.
That's great, Taylor. Yeah, you look great there on the beach.
Yeah, where you belong. I wouldn't mind being there myself. Well, since
Is that better?
Well, it depends on if you like bald heads. I guess Kojak comes to mind.
Fresh shave.
Very nice. So I gather both of you have been tracking pretty heavily what happened yesterday with Apple. I think we're going to get into it a little bit early because there's a lot of material to cover, and it's very interesting how they have introduced finally they've gotten into the AI bandwagon.
Apple Intelligence.
Yeah. And what makes it Apple Intelligence, you know?
The A in artificial makes it Apple.
I see. So it's Apple Artificial Intelligence, AAI.
No, it's Apple Intelligence. There's no artificial.
No, that's gone, huh?
They rebranded.
That's yesterday.
AI.
Now it's totally Apple Intelligence is the way they're going.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Forget about the word artificial.
Yeah, right.
Apple will probably never use it.
If you never use anything except Apple products, I guess maybe that could be the case. But somehow
the idea is that everybody will want to use only Apple products. That's the move forward.
Well, I've already heard some fallout about Apple Intelligence from Elon Musk. Did you see that?
Oh, really? In a positive way or a negative way?
No. He is very upset about it, about the whole thing. And he's warned
He's
that...
upset that Apple's using the word Apple Intelligence instead of artificial?
No, something more. He's worried that if Apple integrates OpenAI's products, such as ChatGPT, on a operating system level, then he would require all of his employees to leave their iPhones at the door when they're going to work at a Tesla.
Oh, that'll go over
or
real
SpaceX.
Big. That'll make them even more popular.
He says they got to leave them in a Faraday cage at the door.
Does everybody know what a Faraday cage is?
Yeah, it's kind of like your microwave oven. It'll cut it off from outside radiation.
I have to assume our audience knows about Faraday cages.
Yeah, they're kind of geeky. It's where if you want to cut yourself off from electromagnetic radiation, you put a Faraday cage over your head or step inside a large Faraday cage.
So let's just talk about what he means that it would be a security violation. That's what he's saying. And if you just take what they announced about the AI yesterday and what Apple stands behind as their privacy policy, they basically said that they're going to encrypt all of your requests to the AI on your phone and your identity and your URL. Everything that identifies your device is going to be encrypted at your phone. And then from your phone, Siri is going to handle going to an Apple server to keep your data safe and then give it back to you on your phone.
This foils Elon's overseer scheme, right? Elon can no longer spy on his employees? Is that the idea?
No, it's absolutely you have it exactly backwards. The only server that gets the information is at Apple. That's the problem. So Elon, like anybody inside of X, could use their iPhone and send whatever information they want from their iPhone to the Apple cloud and then get it back, and there would not be a traceable record of it. So Apple basically says, don't trust anybody else, just trust us. And that's pretty much how they want it.
I believe that. I'm of the religion of Apple, yeah. Definitely.
But I just wanted to
that's
point
why
out
you're
that
here, but
Elon, his whole identity right now is that he is openly opposed to OpenAI because he feels that they are guilty of different kinds of ethical violations. And he actually asked some of the AI programmers to step down and join him in a new AI company so that they would not be participating in the OpenAI model. And now Apple is partnering with OpenAI and with Google as their AIs. So it's really a boys' club race between which AI is going to serve the public. And Elon is saying, well, if Apple's going with OpenAI and if Apple's going with Google AI, those two AIs are compromised. His attitude is that those are the AIs that try to control the narrative and don't give the people the power. And you're not going to hear that in the news because they spin it and they don't understand it. But that's really what's going on here, is like which club of AI developers is going to win the race.
Well, Mrs. Future obviously is in the XAI club.
Well, I am just in the knowing what's going on club.
Yeah. Same thing, right?
That's fantastic, son. Your ability to understand what's going on is incredible. I have no clue what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Taylor. That
I am
sounds
no
a little
longer
sarcastic.
the Apple analyst. I'm just an Apple fanboy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
You guys.
okay. Well, Bobby
I have to step
understands.
down.
Bobby
Yeah,
understands all, right?
Yes, Bobby
Absolutely,
understands. Bobby,
all the
take
way.
over.
It's true. The big problem is whose bigger AI is going to win, and do you trust the people that are putting the restraints, if any, at ChatGPT, the people there at OpenAI? And of all the people that should understand this better is one of the co-founders of OpenAI, which is Elon Musk. You know, he knows what the original mission goal was, is to make sure that AI is benefiting humanity and not benefiting a certain corporation.
The stockholders,
Yeah, stockholders.
which there's so much money to be made that
I do believe that personal privacy is necessary for AI to serve humanity. And until the internet is free of forced control of the narrative, we can't really trust the big players that are offering us their services. We're building our homes in walled gardens that are not controlled by us.
Elon also asks you to think. He says, don't you think that it's patently absurd that Apple isn't smart enough to make their own AI, yet is somehow capable of ensuring that OpenAI will protect your security and privacy? Why isn't Apple just going with their own AI? Why are they trying to connect in with ChatGPT?
And why are they
trying to
connecting
connect
with
in
Sam
Gemini?
Altman?
Because they don't want to reinvent the wheel.
But the point is, they're partnering with Sam Altman, who is the Y Combinator guy. He's kind of like Steve Jobs. He's the marketer of the technology. He may have an understanding of it, but he's at a point in his career where he wants to profit from it and bring those profits into private hands. And this is a real question going on right now. We have a society where we're turning the corporations into our leaders, and they're immortal because we're giving them the status of humans. And
That's nothing new.
no, it is new. It is new. Our laws right now are treating corporations that never die in the same way that they're treating people.
That's
And
not new. That's an old law. Goes way back.
it goes back to the Obama administration. But the point that I'm trying to make is that the AIs are now coming of age where we are giving them more and more of the control of our daily lives as humans. And we are in a process of treating humans as second-class citizens to AIs. And we're going to have to become cognizant of that as we entrust the Apples and Googles and X's of the world with our personal information. We have to understand that unless they are actually committing to keeping humanity as the sacred reason for holding power the way it is, they will deviate and stop honoring humanity. And because they're immortal, they will have more power than any generation of humans. And we really have to understand that this is what we're creating as a human society.
And there you have it. The bell rings and everyone leaves the classroom.
Yeah.
It's too complicated. I'm just going to stick with Apple. I don't understand any of this.
Well, I'm not very articulate, but I
No,
do.
you're very articulate.
I think
You're
it's
articulate.
important.
You're totally
You're
articulate.
good. It's just
No
not where
problem there.
it's not what he's tracking. Since we have Taylor on, we should get his stuff first. Then he can not worry about these more highbrow conversations and listen. Like,
oh yeah, I'm going to be
Yeah.
cut out of the conversation because I'm too dumb.
Yeah, you're like the guy who doesn't know anything that dominates the conversation. You're funny, but at a certain point.
I'm an Apple fanboy. I just wanted to give you a list of parts that move faster than the other parts we were using last year.
Yeah, so what parts are
There you
moving
go.
faster,
That's
Taylor?
it.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, in fact, the headline of the whole event was no new hardware. That was the big headline.
All right, well, that's
and Apple's
good.
got an M2 Mac Studio that's going to still be the latest Mac Studio a year from now.
I love the way that your camera angle is just your mouth right now. Like we can't see the rest of your face.
I'm working on it. There you go.
It's very appropriate.
With half a glass.
Yeah. So no new hardware. What about the Air? I thought there was a 15-inch MacBook Air coming out.
No, that's just came out. The M3 MacBook Air, 15-inch. And
that's what I thought.
13-inch too. They're both M3s.
They're brand new.
They're not current.
No?
They're current according to what's for sale, but they're not current according to what processor is going to reign in the next
and that was the other big takeaway I got from you last time, was that the M4 is really the way to go if you're waiting for the
last time we said, okay, there's going to be an M4
processor,
Max and M4 Ultra Mac Studio now, and we said there was going to be an M4 and an M4 Pro Mac Mini now, and there's not. We'll be lucky to get a new Mac Mini by December, maybe January even.
Okay, well, so, that's interesting.
The next hardware is not going to be till October. It was September for the A18 Pro, iPhone 16 Pro,
right. That's
and
always
Pro
the
Max.
New hardware is the iPhones.
And the new Watch 10 with running WatchOS 11, which I'm sad to say Al was not able to upgrade his Series
I'm stuck.
4.
My Series 4 phone has now reached an evolutionary dead end.
WatchOS 10. And I got the Series 6, and that's the oldest series that you can have that will take
the upgrades.
11.
Yeah. Okay.
WatchOS 11.
Series 6 and newer
exciting.
phones. That's a good takeaway.
There's good stuff in the WatchOS 11. There's a new Vitals app that makes it very exciting for recording more activity than before.
Okay. How about the Mac OS?
Mac OS Sequoia, SQUOIA, I think is how you spell it. They're saying it's the most difficult operating system name to ever be given to an operating system, Sequoia. Look it up in the dictionary or something like that.
The tallest, anyway.
It's 15. And I've got it working on my Mac. I got it on my M2 Pro Mac Mini, which is the most advanced Mac Mini you're going to be able to get for another 9 months or whatever.
Great. So I'm glad it works.
I feel like I'm pregnant with the next Mac Mini that's not going to come out until January.
So you got the beta version, and it's working great.
It was crashing repeatedly until now. Now it's working
until this conversation, huh? Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad it's finally working.
Yeah, so you can put the betas if you have remember, everybody, that you can be an Apple developer without giving them any money. You can just register as an Apple developer and be able to use the beta versions of iOS 18, iPad.
That's what you do, right? You get all the latest stuff for free.
WatchOS 11 and Mac Sequoia. Yeah, well, I'm always about free. Yeah. And so is everybody else. There's going to be a public beta to the general public in July if you don't want to bother trying to register as a developer.
Yeah, you just wait till July. Oh, that's not long. Okay.
But the original beta is working just fine after I got through all those crashes. I don't know what they were about.
Yeah, just for the uninitiated, Taylor's been on for the last hour with us, sustaining crashes of his system until now. So we are privy.
I still haven't got the microphone working the way I wanted to. We had it working last night on FaceTime, but on the Zoom, we're not so lucky. So I'm using the microphone that's attached to the camera. I hope it sounds okay.
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds good. You're good.
Yeah. Okay, Bob, you got a lot more to talk about this, right? The Apple Intelligence.
Well, we're going to go into that for sure, but I just wanted to get the stuff that you can talk about.
Okay, well, you can put your iPhone virtually on your Mac now, and you can run it. You can run the phone on your Mac while the phone is over asleep.
Okay, so you see the phone show up on a screen on your Mac.
Yeah, and you can run it with your mouse or your trackpad and your
open up apps, close them, like your phone is there.
Yes, exactly. Everything that will run on the phone runs on the virtual phone on the Mac.
So you can leave your phone plugged in the bedroom and just operate everything, including your phone, from your desktop.
Yeah. Yeah, not that I'd want to do it, but that's, some people want to do that stuff.
Yeah.
If you watch Max Tech, MAXTECH, that's 2 words. That's the YouTube channel. They have a daily feed every morning at 7 o'clock from Spokane, Washington. Max and his brother They do the top 10 of greatest new things.
Hey, listen, I'm a big photography kind of guy, and I use the camera app all the time on the iPhone. It's one of my favorite apps.
Yeah,
Photos.
the biggest changes to Photos. Photos app is majorly upgraded in the iOS 18.
Do we have better facial recognition or what?
Better auto-creating, using artificial intelligence to create customized movies.
You mean editing?
From your stills and videos that are in your library. And you can just say what you want the video to be, and the artificial intelligence and Siri will figure it out.
Oh, I understand that's got
do
some...
it for you. So there's a lot of stuff being done for you in iOS 18 that you had to do by yourself before this.
Okay, well, for Photos involves new navigation, new organizational features, and new ways to discover my favorite photos. And I'm just kind of curious.
Tell you reading that.
Yeah, I mean, no, I've got a list of the features here, so I want to know.
Watch the keynote, everybody. It's only 2 hours long, so give yourself a break and watch the keynote.
Okay, and that's at apple.com?
Yeah, apple.com, YouTube, the Apple channel on YouTube. You can
Everywhere,
probably
right?
Google Apple Keynote WWDC 24.
And it'll do it.
And it goes into pretty good depth about all the different operating systems and the features. Not a lot, but you have to poke around to all kinds of different analysts to see more different angles about what's new.
I'm looking at some of the other things that affect us. Tap to cash. It's in addition to the ability to let you pay more easily by tapping to iPhones, tapping together a pair of iPhones.
Yeah, probably
right.
just like the way that you can exchange addresses now. You can give each other money. That's part of the thing of Apple Pay is you can send money to your friends.
Directly, phone to phone.
If they're in your contacts.
Yeah. And, of course, the big thing with the phone would be the new iOS for the phone, iOS 18.
Yeah, I've got iOS 18 on my phone, and it's
stable?
Just fine, yeah.
Yeah.
For what I do, it's the same thing. There's a lot of visual things that you can change. You can, in the control panel, is much more customizable if you want to tweak around your control panel. And there's a lot of new widgets that you can put in the control panel. The app developers should all be doing widgets for their apps. The widgets that I wanted aren't available from the apps that I use. So
yeah, they have a special toolkit now for AI as well, for Apple Intelligence. If you want to put Apple Intelligence in your app, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Oh, they're making it really easy for developers to adopt all this stuff. Yeah. There's also a platform State of the Union that's only an hour and 6 minutes long that you can also find up on Google, on YouTube and Apple.com and so forth.
Oh, good. Okay.
But that's for really more for nerds. There's also a new calculator. If you're a math nerd, you're going to be crazy about the new calculator. It's built for nerds.
Right.
If you're not a math nerd, you probably won't care.
If you have an Apple Pencil with your iPad,
the Pencil Pro.
No. I have an M1 iPad, and I'm using the second pencil.
And that works fine.
The new calculator is working on there?
Yeah, I just loaded it last night. It's amazing. You can do...
You're a math nerd.
No, it's very, you can just do 1 + 1 = 2 and it'll solve the equation, and you just draw it on the screen. And
you're right. It is fascinating if you adopt this stuff. I'm too old.
But then you could do calculus or whatever. You can do quadratic equations.
I failed calculus. I was in the back of the room and I failed 100%.
But it can draw.
Bobby was in the front of the room, Taylor. So be quiet for a minute and let him finish. And then we got to go to a commercial in 30 seconds. So
calculator is the best app that they just introduced. Just the calculator alone. Initially, I thought, it's just a calculator.
About the iPad calculator, kids.
Yeah. Okay. We got. Yeah,
but it's also on your iPhone too. It's reintroduced.
Not the new one.
Yes. Anyway, it does do AI. And not only
the pencil on the phone, though.
Okay, listen, we got to go to a break, you guys.
Let's continue after the break. What do you say?
Put a pencil in that moment, and we'll be right back. All right.
Okay.
This is Future Now. We'll be right back.
Treehouse dispenses not only the finest cannabis products, but information to those who want to know how to use cannabis for maximum benefit. Hello, I'm Jenna. If you would like to know how best to use cannabis, ask your friends and neighbors at Treehouse Dispensary. 3651 Soquel Drive. If you're 21 plus with a valid ID, no appointment is necessary and the information is free. Order online at ourtreehouse.io and pick up at our drive-thru. See you soon.
Time to eat and talk business. Chef Ben here from the Back Nine Grill and Bar, inviting you to talk business over a leisurely lunch or a formal dinner or maybe a quick libation. The Back Nine is the easiest place to get to in Santa Cruz County. Easy off the Pasatiempo exit with ample parking and great food. The Back Nine is the place to meet for business and great food. Time to eat and talk business. See you at the Nine.
If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and can't do it alone, call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Get clean. Call now and learn more.
800-451-5402. 800-451-5402. That's 800-451-5402.
For ag and industrial real estate, call Chuck Allen. Chuck Allen is a lifelong resident of the Pajaro Valley, a friend of everybody, and has closed so many real estate transactions, the Wall Street Journal and Keller Williams both list him as one of the nation's top producers. So for ag and industrial real estate, call the top realtor, Chuck Allen, at chuckallenproperties.com. chuckallenproperties.com.
Okay, we are back. And I do think we should get to the meat of this thing as we were talking about the addition to the AI stuff.
Those conflicting ads, what was the deal with that? What's going on with the ads? They're selling drugs, and then the next ad says, get off drugs.
I guess it's a different advertiser. Yeah, it's a free market. Probably one of the cannabis ads. Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. You know, these things happen. Well, we're going to get into the AI shortly and not interrupt Bobby for a while on that.
So back to the
calculator.
The calculator, they have something called math notes, and you just click on that math, and then you can just take your pencil, draw all these formulas, or just do simple things like, kindergarten, first grade mathematics or whatever. And it solves the calculation. You don't have to type anything on the keyboard.
Wow.
You just draw it on the screen. And if you want to do calculus or trigonometry, you can just write a formula, draw it on the screen, and it will graph the thing instantly. It's just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. I wish I had this in high school. Gosh, could have aced everything.
Like I said, math nerds.
Yeah,
that's right. And we all should understand math more. I mean, I think it's a failing of our system that mathematics has become so, quote, hard. It shouldn't be hard. It should be like a language, like English.
Yeah. And if you can just draw it out on the screen, or just scribble it on the screen, and it can draw it, you can see what the formula looks like instantly. Like, we had to imagine that. Yeah. In trigonometry, that would have made all the difference if I could see what these formulas were graphed out.
Right,
you'd have to imagine.
Would you really understand it?
Yeah.
You could understand it if it did it like it can do it right now on your iPad. You could understand it.
Yeah. And perhaps if there's enough neuroplasticity left, you can try it later on in life. Maybe you can learn math now, Taylor.
I was a math nerd when I was 14.
Till 14. Then Algebra 2 hit, right? And how did
Algebra 1, I got a medal, military school medal for Algebra 1.
Yeah, good. And then Algebra 2?
100% on the test. Perfect. And I did great in trigonometry, too, and all the other stuff until I got to calculus, and then I didn't understand no clue what he was talking about.
Okay. That's the calculus boundary layer. That's true. That usually was saved for the smart kids in high school and college at that point.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so most people don't understand calculus.
Anyway, it's
they
great
stop
that
at
we
algebra
have
and trig.
Yeah, and you have to know calculus to get an MBA. You
Yeah,
can't
and
get
calculus.
An MBA school without calculus.
And now calculus can be yours now thanks to this calculator and playing.
That's right.
Yeah,
you can own it.
Yeah, it's no longer a big.
it.
See, that's the thing is that the education system is going personal. With tools like this, you can learn all these things that were hard to do in a classroom.
It's not a tool.
No.
It's doing it for you.
You can use it that way too, but it sounds to me like you can also use it for exploring deeper mathematics. and getting
All
into
right.
how you can actually utilize math,
Like I said, math
for
nerd.
solving problems, for creating new materials, metamaterial design, all kinds of stuff.
All right, I'm all for it.
Okay.
I can tell.
Speak for the common man, will you?
I'm too old.
Yes.
I'm 77. I'm over the hill now.
Well, that's pretty typical.
But I am putting in the solar. You
Well-
talk about the solar?
No, I love it. I love the idea that Bobby's helped you with getting your battery. You have a giant battery that you can run
I've
your
got
house
the-
on.
Yeah, I got the Anchor battery system
Right.
already hooked up. We've got the home power panels hooked up. I'm running the battery full time during peak hours.
So you don't have to pay
And,
PG&E
I'm never
anytime
paying-
for peak hours.
Nope. Right.
Right, from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., something like that?
No, it's from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
4 p.m. to 9 p.m. So you, at 4 p.m., you
It
switch
goes
on
in,
your
the switch
battery.
automatically switches over to battery.
Run your
and
house
uses
on the battery.
100%. And then at 9 o'clock, it switches back over to PG&E and
Boom.
recharges the battery in about 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
And next month, we're going to put solar panels in. On the next meeting in September, we're going to talk about the solar panels on my house.
Yeah.
And how
Well, there you go.
wonderful they
Well,
are.
that's the direction it's heading in. Self-sufficiency for energy. Decentralized energy down to the individual home.
Yeah, well, I feel it's like my responsibility to go off grid. I feel like everybody that's old should make it their responsibility to go off grid. It doesn't matter about the economics. It matters about just getting yourself a set of batteries, which are now really inexpensive. You're practically giving them away for $4,000 or $5,000.
Well, the argument that people have against that is that the batteries are not very eco, that they took a lot of energy and a lot of
Compared to
environmental
PG&E?
destruction to make. Well,
Compared to who?
that's a good point.
Compared to PG&E is doing worse, a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, PG&E has a giant battery near us, Moss Landing, not too far from Santa Cruz, and there's a giant, huge battery there that's an experiment. They're looking at battery backup for the grid, or battery, instead of bringing on backup generators, they're going to activate the battery, the giant battery.
You mean where those smokestacks?
Yeah, where the
are?
smokestacks are in Moss Landing.
What kind of battery are you talking about?
LG. LG has
LG?
got one.
LG,
Yeah. They caught on fire, didn't they?
They've had a
Last
few
time.
fires, yeah, but that's to be expected in this prototype giant battery. Basically,
They're not
the giant
LiPo,
battery.
They're not LiPo-4, right? LiPo-4 won't get on fire.
The newer ones, the
Yeah.
lithium iron phosphate, supposed to be less flammable. Yeah,
It better be non-flammable because it's in my closet.
it probably is non-flammable. Yeah, I think the phosphate is good. I have one and never had a problem with it.
Yeah. You can take, I mean, you saw those demonstrations where they take, they spike one of those battery packs that go in your cell phone, right? And the thing starts to fizzle and then it starts catching on fire and it just smokes up.
Yeah.
That would never happen with lithium iron phosphate. You can do the same thing with those battery packs and nothing happens. They never catch on fire.
That's great. I remember Zoe. She is one of the foremost drone FPV pilots in the country. She's like 30 years old and has been flying them for 10 years. And
You had her on the show a couple years back. Yeah,
she's living in Santa Cruz.
I remember.
And the biggest test for these lithium ion batteries have been the drones, because she would fly these things and straight up and do barrel rolls and go under tunnels and through houses and just do crazy stuff with the drones. And when the drone finally came back, the battery would be really hot, super, super hot. The drone tech was pushing the batteries.
Those are pre-phosphate.
Yeah. Now, I have a problem with the phosphate. They're heavier, and drone tech requires super lightweight batteries. But what we need is the better batteries, and the cattle batteries are coming online. So there's a lot of stuff that is just looming on the horizon. I think it's one of our favorite topics, is talking about energy storage and how that's evolving.
Yeah, it's important, especially with the future of the Apple Watch.
Right. I think even Wozniak from Apple, in terms of an Apple story, he was investing in server farms, but server farms that were based on solid state tech and
Solid state batteries?
and batteries. Yeah, batteries and tech that can operate with less power, faster, and off grid. So yeah, the future is definitely in that direction. But we're in a big part right now where PG&E is pretty much in charge of power in California. And
they're making it difficult for individuals to go off grid.
Yeah, they are. And they don't like it if people even think in that direction.
I just fell into it by accident.
Yeah, well, we had to, because we are...
Anchor Solix was on sale at Costco, and Bobby said, "You got to buy that now." So I said, "Okay, what for?" I don't know. Okay. And I put them in my closet, and then you came in with Bob, and 5 hours later, I'm hooked up with the automatic power panel.
Thanks, Free Energy Bob, for helping out with that. Important to get Taylor up to date on his power needs.
Yeah.
So listen, we're going to go into some other topics really soon. So
Okay.
I wanted to get in, Bobby, with the Apple Intelligence next. But any other final things you can say about the Apple announcements yesterday before we move on, Taylor? Anything else? For Vision OS 2 from the Apple Vision
there's
Pro.
Vision OS 2. That's right. That's a good thing.
The way it can actually take 2D pictures and take people and put them three-dimensionally in your Apple Vision device is amazing. Yeah. You can refresh all those old pictures you have that are flat and then bring these people almost three-dimensionally out of the picture and get them to float off the picture.
They're also going to let you have a super wide screen when it's hooked up to your Mac.
Yeah, 8K. You could have several movies.
Super expansive, way around you.
Like 180-degree IMAX kind of experience. Yeah.
Wow. And that's in the Apple Vision Pro. Huh?
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of controversy about that. It didn't sell as much as people thought it should. But hey, Apple's
made 500,000 of them or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Apple's was basically doing R&D to really see what the next model is. And it sounds to me like the photography and the photos and the 3D stuff is one of the things that people really love about the Apple Vision Pro, is that it's really excellent on projecting 3D media. That's kind of exciting because I'm really into the 360 media too, and I'm sure it's quite good at that as well.
And the new Apple TV OS is going to include a Snoopy screensaver.
Oh, well, thanks for that. Yeah, that's I can hardly wait.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I don't know. I used to love Apple TV, and I still watch the channel. But God, I don't really see why I should spend a couple $100 for that when I can get everything on a Roku for $30.
What do you mean? I gave you that Roku.
Well, you gave me the first
for
one.
Free.
The first one, and I use it for my backup projector now. I know I've got a more modern one now with the voice activation.
The Ultra?
And I like it. And I like Roku.
I do too. I'm a shareholder. I love Roku. At the wazoo.
And what's great about it is that
Taylor, who introduced you to Roku? Taylor.
Yeah, Bobby thought of the Roku.
Oh, Bobby
He's
once
still
again.
got a Roku. He's got a Roku from 1965 or something like that.
Yeah, right. Sure. I saw a building that said Roku on it by the San Jose airport.
Yeah, they're based there. That's
their
World
home base, huh?
San Jose.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So we got them. We got Netflix.
Locally born and bred. Yeah. Woohoo. Roku TVs now?
Yeah. See, so I'm not impressed with Apple TV in the sense that I can use Roku to play my iPhone onto the big screen. So
I agree.
With the Roku, so why bother?
I agree. You've got Apple TV Plus on the Roku. You don't need that Apple TV hardware.
Yeah, I just don't see the point of it. Maybe the games.
I like the Roku interface better than the Apple TV.
It's
hardware.
It's great
interface.
also. Yeah.
So are you guys saying that as a way of connecting your computer and your phone to your television screen, Roku offers more than Apple TV because Roku has Apple TV inside of it and it's not the other way around?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that the Roku remote is so much easier to use than Apple's remote. And also the Roku, you just get, all you have to do is AirPlay 2 and you can project anything that's on the phone up onto the screen through your Roku or through the TV for that matter. I've got a Sony TV. I just select the TV model number and boom.
Yeah, AirPlay is
on the screen.
AirPlay is integrated.
AirPlay 2 is completely painless projection of anything on the pad or the phone.
Yeah, so
no problem. I can even choose my sound system because it's a compatible Sony sound system, the HT9.
I want to talk about Siri. Okay, Siri. Apple made some enhancements to make Siri smarter. We've been waiting for Siri to get smarter for a while.
10 years. A long
10
time.
years, yeah. Siri was kind of lagging behind Alexa and Echo. And
just off the top of my head, I think the most important thing that they promised, which I'll believe when I see it, is that Siri actually knows how to use the Apple device. And if you need help with your Apple device, then Siri knows how to guide it and figure it out.
Yes.
It's been so amazing to me all this time that Siri doesn't even know how to operate the Apple device, much less get out into the world and give you information. So we'll hope for the best on that.
Yeah. We forgot to mention there is a new remote app that people that understand the technology can actually remotely control someone else's, like your parents' iPad, and then show them on the screen remotely and run their apps remotely. So that's going to help a lot of people that don't understand their Apple devices and have people like Al and Taylor tell other people how to run an app on their iPad or iPhone, you know?
Yeah, and not to be alarmist, but it was really hitting me, since I don't really understand how they're protecting the privacy when the devices can all share. It seemed ironic that they're bragging about how private your information is and how it's only on your device, but you now can control all these other devices from your device. So they should really go about explaining why that's better privacy, because it sounds like it's easier to hack.
You're supposed to trust them. Apple is a trustworthy.
Well, that's what I said. The whole thing is just trust us. You don't need to know the details. Just we'll
That's
tell
right.
you.
Exactly. That's what I like about Apple.
Well, the interesting thing is that you're not just a user with this. The Apple Intelligence is baked into your ability to create apps now, too. And I find that intriguing. What kind of apps can I create with Apple Intelligence?
Yeah, well, this
you can tell the Apple
Yeah.
Intelligence what kind of app you want, and it'll make it for you.
There you go.
As
It
long
should
as
work
you
for me.
That's what they're saying.
As long as you are an Apple developer, that's true. That's
Yeah.
not true of just anybody who buys a phone. You also have to
No, but
sign up to be
anybody
an Apple
can be
developer.
an Apple developer. It's just a matter of signing up.
I agree. But
Yeah.
you have to want to enough to figure out how to get in the system. And not everybody does. A lot of people barely know how
Well,
to
that's
use
right.
their
Other
phone.
people, a lot of people have lives.
Yeah. Well,
Forgot about that.
well, I think one of the things they could do is that the AI, because they track our asses so closely, they'd be able to tell what we're really good at and what we really suck at. We'll be
Oh
able
no!
to have
My
a
secret
profile
will be revealed.
of Bobby's genius in math and your ability to watch many shows at once.
This is Al's new idea. It's an app that will reveal your superpowers.
Well, yeah, your at least your talents, your abilities. So
as voted on
find out-
by the AI.
Yeah, find out what your true talents are. App.
You know, if it wasn't for the Dr. Future show,
Yeah.
I would have never understood my superpower.
Oh,
You know?
that's so kind.
Okay, well there you go. The app
Well,
should
we
be then discover your
appreciated it in you,
superpowers.
Bobby.
You have many superpowers, Bobby.
Yeah. Well, no,
So-
but the point is, it does take an outside feedback to let you know which of your qualities are outstanding, because otherwise you're not necessarily your own best judge.
You think it'll understand humor?
Oh, well, yeah, eventually, but that's one of our higher intelligence things.
As long as the people that are programming it keep having a sense of humor, I think the big battle in the future is between the humorless and the people who appreciate a good joke.
I'd like to know what real AI humor is. I mean, it's intrinsically not going to be the same as our humor.
You think real AI, there is such a thing, real AI?
Yeah, I think
as opposed that means real artificial, Al.
Yeah.
Well, I think the physicists are trying
Not
to look
anymore.
for dark
It's
energy.
real Apple.
Yeah. I think they're going to find that dark energy is somehow related to fun.
Well, smack my mama.
Yeah,
And fun is a fundamental force
dark
in the
energy
universe.
is related to fun.
And so, yes, the AIs will figure out
scary
something that
ground
really
there.
works for them. We won't have to anthropomorphize what is funny to them.
Mm-hmm.
They'll figure it out. You know, it's beyond us, really.
Oh, you think we're not going to be able to get AI jokes?
No, no, I don't think so. I think first, maybe once we have some immersive movies where you're able to put your feet into the shoes of a real AI and know exactly what it's experiencing, well, then maybe you'll get it.
See, I actually think that we are talking about the AI like it's one big Skynet, that it's our future Uber overlords. But I think it actually is just like society right now. It's going to be concentrated around individuals who use it. And so there's going to be a society of AIs, and they're going to have different strengths and weaknesses. And we will be aligning ourselves with them according to what's popular. It's not just going to be like one AI that is in charge of all reality.
I'm into decentralized intelligence.
Yeah.
I am.
Well, I'm just setting us up for the next hour when we're going to discuss some interesting uses of AI that are coming up in the real world, not just at Apple.
Yes. Meanwhile, I do think we're onto something here. I'd like to make a Discover Your Superpowers app. I think that's an admirable goal for me to try to achieve.
I think you can ask the Apple AI to
wanna
do
have
that for you.
I want to have some modules for discovering your superpowers, maybe an activate your superpowers module after you discover them. So the first module would be discover your powers, and the next one would be to activate them.
Do you think it will use a cattle prod?
Well, it could for some people. For some,
that would get us going.
Yeah, may drain your battery faster.
I think when Elon was coming up with how to activate superpowers, he was inventing torches. Remember, he was selling those torch flame
cool.
blower things?
Flamethrowers, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that would motivate some superpowers.
I'm sure it would. After you activate them, they're going to be kind of weak initially because you're not used to using your superpowers. So you're going to need another module.
So what are we going to buy next, Al? I'm going to buy the iPhone 16 Pro Max with the 2 terabyte storage, and I'm going to buy a watch 10 with an X, Roman numeral X, is what they're going to do probably. I think.
For me, I'm going to buy the Amplify Your Superpowers module because once I've activated them, I want to amplify them.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought that was all going to be free.
So there's 3 modules. Discover, activate, and amplify your superpowers. Now can the AIs help me with this? That's the question. Anyway, back to what I'm going to actually buy, whatever it can help me make my app now.
You need a new watch.
A new watch. Okay, a watch 10, right? The new OS is 10?
With the X for 10. Yeah, the Roman numeral.
Okay.
Everybody will call it Series X, but it's really going to be called, the real is Series 10.
Now, I suppose it'll be able to provide biometrics for my evolution, right? It's going to pick up heart rate variability, things in the watch. The watch will be tracking BIOS.
It already does that.
Yeah, no, it does that. Blood pressure. Does it do blood pressure yet?
That might be an addition. Blood pressure might be an addition.
Glucose levels.
I don't know about the glucose.
Real-time glucose monitoring.
Several more years down the road.
That's all coming out now, by the way, in terms of personal
there are a bunch of
tech.
cheap phones from China that do blood pressure already, but Apple wouldn't subscribe to the way they do that.
Okay. All right. Well, that would make the watch more useful to me in terms of my health.
Anybody going for an iPad, an M4 iPad Pro? 11 or 13? Not me.
I'm going to go for it.
You going to do that, the M4?
Yeah.
The 11-inch?
Yeah. I would go for the smaller 11-inch, the cheaper one.
You're going to go for the 512? 512 is $1,200.
Maybe. Yeah. I have to look it over the specs again.
The Apple Card, it's only $100 a month. So
I looked at the specs. There was no difference in speed between the 256 and 512. So
right.
just buy the cheap. Yeah. Just buy the storage.
256 is all you're going to need?
I got terabytes of storage.
All right, guys.
That I can put external.
Wrap it up. Right.
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to hearing your
Thanks,
review.
Taylor. Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us, Al. Really appreciate the opportunity to share our wisdom.
Yeah.
See you after
Glad you're here,
Santa
Taylor.
Cruz
Thanks for being part
break.
of it.
Love you guys.
Love you
You're
too.
so beautiful.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
We'll be right back.
Hey, we is back. I do believe.
You got it. Yes, we are. Live and on time.
We did get a comment from Billy Sunshine who says he's one of those seniors who needs all the help he can get with his computing needs. So that's where fellow seniors like Taylor can help out.
That's right.
Senior nerds.
Well, this is what works for me. That large print and the phone that plugs into my hearing aid and what else?
Cat's meow, the way that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, that was fun. That was a ramble through the Apple announcements. It was actually, the dev conference is huge right now. All of the things that they're trying to focus on and trying to make easier. Now that AI is accelerating what you can do as a developer, I think Apple's doing a really good job of making that accessible.
During the break, I've created this promo for our new app here. The Discovery Superpower app. Yeah. Listen to this.
Okay.
Finally, I've discovered my very special superpower thanks to this handy-dandy app powered by Apple Intelligence. Now it's time to activate.
All right.
Yeah, see, that plugs into the second module.
Oh,
Once you
very
discover your
interesting.
superpower, you activate it.
Oh, that's very clever. So you're activating superpowers today.
Right. Next thing I got to get
For those of us in the radio audience, Dr. Future is actually the face behind that endorsement of the imaginary app.
part of our quasi-fiction story, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's going to go into your
This
graphic
guy
novel.
invented an AI app that allows everyone to discover their superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. We all need that. Absolutely.
Don't you think? Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at ads for never used chicken coops, stuff like that. We really are looking in opposite directions these days.
I am not a big fan of chickens. I mean, chicken coops. I love chicken, but as animals that I have to take care of, I don't know.
I'm kind of getting ready. I mean, I'm going to do another bunch of travel before we commit to animals, but I'm looking forward to having some animals.
That's what goes
in our
away
future.
when you have those dumb little clucks at your behest.
Well, I've been learning that people who are into eggs really prefer ducks because they're not as cruel to each other as chickens. So, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, Katya just loves duck eggs, and Michael and Jaya, they're eating duck eggs now instead of regular eggs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, right.
Much healthier.
Right.
Duck eggs. Okay, see?
Yeah.
And I understand ducks are much easier to take care of. And we do have a little duck pond down below us in our neighbor's land, so maybe they could go there and we wouldn't have to take care of them even.
Find out where they're laying their egg.
Yeah. A nice lake next door.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, can't we use AI to train them to just lay them on our porch?
No, but you could get the little robots to pick up the eggs and bring them to your door. They'd have to scale the cliff down.
Okay, so
Mr. Seagate's property there.
Do you think your superpower app is going to be able to invent an AI robot that can go find the duck eggs that we're looking for randomly around our property?
I'm saying that with the help of Apple Intelligence, anything is possible.
Okay, well, you have high expectations, my friend.
That's what keeps it going. Got to raise the bar for these things.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. I find that I'm the backup plan. When the AIs can't quite figure it out yet, it's on my to-do list.
Well, believe me, doing the dishes is one of the first things we wanted to do.
Uh-huh. Right. Okay.
Well,
I hope
we'll leave you in charge of the cooking.
Fair enough.
You can be creative.
And I like going to the farmers markets too. You can leave me in charge of that.
Okay.
Okay.
The robots will just carry the stuff for you.
Right.
Drive the car. Details like that.
Yeah. So listen, I would like to hear the classic space focus of the
yes, there is some
Dr.
space news.
Future intelligence system because that's one of my favorite parts of the show.
Okay, well, let's get some space news then.
Okay. Space
Get now
news.
to Space News. As Colbert likes to say.
Yeah, all posted on the drfutureshow.com links page. This is the latest clickable fascinations that Dr. Future wanted to talk about with the audience today on the show.
Okay, so one of our great investments, which dropped to practically nothing, is climbing back up again. Virgin Galactic.
Virgin Galactic. Oh,
news?
yes. I had such high hopes for them at first because they were first in the field. In 2004, Virgin Galactic won the X Prize for the first reusable vehicle that could go to space and come back again and be launched within a week. That was Burt Rutan and Virgin Galactic and Sir Richard Branson taking home that prize. And during that period of time, they were actually collecting investment money because they were offering seats on their to-be-developed space flight vehicle.
Yeah, that's the beginning.
Their first launch, I guess, was about 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember their exact first launch.
Can I say one thing for a moment?
What's that?
Do we have a choice? Here you are.
Forgot about iMessage is going to be, you can use the satellites for iMessage. Free.
All right, Taylor, no more butting in.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're not even listening. You're not listening.
Space, that means easy texting anywhere on the planet.
Great, but you had a whole hour to tell us that.
Yeah, no. It's the sun's time now, Taylor. But yeah, I
don't appreciate the way, I don't like the production values of the way that your lack of preparedness brings it up in the middle of something else that is interesting to me.
Looks like we lost him. Get back to the VMS Eve, Mrs. Future.
Yeah.
The VSS Unity.
Okay.
And the VMS Eve, the Unity and the mothership that are now being retired for new ships.
Yeah.
That's the big news.
Right.
They're retiring the second generation ships. You were talking about the first generation, which was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember that one too. That was Burt Rutan's original design.
Yeah. Yeah, so now they have fulfilled all of those original contracts where they were selling $200,000 seats to go up to the Kármán line and come back. And to do that in basically the most eco rocket in existence, the Virgin Galactic glider, that gets a lift up to that area of space and then goes into orbit so that you can just see the little bubble of atmosphere above the horizon of Earth, and you see dark space above it.
Yes.
And he's fulfilled all of those original tickets that funded the creation of Virgin Galactic. And now Virgin Galactic is going to start focusing on other kinds of flights. I think that the future model is that we're going to go to space using less petroleum and less hydrocarbons and hang out up there enjoying the scenery while the planet rotates underneath you and then land. And that's one of the visions for the future of domestic travel or international travel, is to actually go to space and then come back down, because it takes less fuel than using
it's rotating. Planet's rotating, you're able to go.
Going through the atmosphere the whole way.
Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity for space machines to replace airplanes.
Yeah. But anyway, the big announcement today is that they're retiring their Unity module, which has been giving those rides to space tourists until now.
Yeah. Now they have about $1 billion in cash reserve to go to the next phase with the new ships. And this is where space tourism really takes off with a vengeance.
All right.
The big news, of course, everyone has seen this week has been both the Boeing Starliner and the SpaceX Starship missions were both
successful. It's a really good week for space launches.
Yeah, awe-inspiring. I would say that the SpaceX Starship overshadowed the Boeing for me, because it was a whole new experience, right? It was a major...
They hit all their milestone things. You know, they actually got the thing to land in the water exactly that they intended.
Yeah.
And even while one of the wings on Starship was melting, it still made it landing correctly.
Yeah.
Yes, it was being desiccated by the extreme heat as it fell, but it persevered to land into the water.
Yeah, we saw a cute little YouTube podcast after that where he was interviewed about it, and apparently the material was steel. And that was as opposed to aluminum or some other composite that wouldn't have stood up as well to that heat test. So
stainless steel, I think they're making it out of.
Stainless steel.
Yeah. But compared to the third launch of the Starship, the amount of plasma that you saw during re-entry was much less. It was distributed in a different way. And it was the first time that we saw the shot of the booster, which was absolutely beautiful. I just love the artistic geometries of the arrangements of the rockets and the way that they look as they're firing at their various stages. It's artistic. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they met all their milestones, and they are very, very, very happy. I've never seen so much enthusiasm in the 1,000 or so SpaceX employees on the screen as when they reached each of these milestones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were very proud. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah. The next big Starship 5, where they're going to try to catch the booster as it comes down with these giant chopsticks.
Yes, because it's the largest rocket ever
to land back to Earth. This time they landed, but in the ocean, just off the coast of Texas.
Yes, but what they managed to perfect was the free fall and the relighting of the engines so that they could control the descent, which means that, and I think they said they were a few kilometers off. They were...
That was on the landing. That was on the Indian Ocean side of the thing.
But they have confidence that they are close enough and can control it well enough that they can catch it next time, which is great.
Yeah, that's the booster. Yeah.
They had it so that it would tilt vertically and then come down. And I think they were down to like 6 miles an hour. They slowed the thing down before it landed on the water.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, it was amazing.
As planned.
Yeah. So imagine, what is it, like a 13-story building or something like that? You've got a 13-story building that is falling from space at a controlled speed. It's just so sci-fi.
Meanwhile, the Starliner from Boeing and its first human crew set course for the ISS. They was mostly okay, except that they did have some helium leaks and some thruster failures. But they made it there. They had 2 NASA astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, got jubilant welcomes aboard the station Thursday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're going to be there for about 8 days or so, and then they'll be heading back.
All right.
That's kind of fun news this week in space news.
Yeah.
Also, this was kind of interesting because we often talk about climate change and such, and we, of course, are somewhat controversial in that we don't subscribe to any one theory.
We read the internet. We have a lot of feeds.
About what's actually happening here. But one of the themes that we've often discussed is that if there were some changes in the sun, for example, all the planets would have weather changes.
Right. That's
all the
it.
planets would have weather changes.
There's nothing more influential than the sun in our world.
For example. And so when I read this piece, Interstellar Space Clouds triggered the ice ages, some new research suggests, it got me thinking that it's not just the sun that can affect the weather patterns here and create ice ages.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Now, this theory goes back to the Pleistocene epoch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's glaciers, woolly mammoths, Neanderthals, pretty recent history in terms of the overall scheme of the planet. 12,000 years ago
is when it ended.
Yeah, the end of the last ice age.
Mm-hmm.
A team of researchers are saying that hundreds of thousands of years of our planet's history may have been chilly because we floated through a cloud in space.
Like a dust cloud, like star nursery.
An interstellar cloud. Because, we're rotating around the Milky Way. It takes like 200,000 years to go around.
We're orbiting.
Yeah, we're orbiting the black hole, the center, Sagittarius A, at the center of our galaxy. So we're rotating as we're constantly going into new space as we rotate.
Well, our galaxy is rotating. I wish you'd say orbiting, because we here on Earth and the solar system are the thing that is going around. So we're orbiting.
And we're going into new space as we orbit.
Mm-hmm.
And that new space is not empty. In this theory, it's a giant interstellar cloud that is able to cause the planet to be blocked from the sun and hence create an ice age here.
Isn't that amazing that the stardust that our solar system finds itself wandering through can be so thick that it can actually block out the sunlight? That's a pretty thick space cloud.
Well, at least a little bit. How much does it have to be blocked to shift the weather from what it is today to an ice age? That's where our scientists can come in. They can really calculate that. Right. It's a certain amount of energy. And is that amount of energy congruent with how much a cloud could cut down on radiation?
Right. So this research is happening in a lab in Czechoslovakia, and they're trying to create a model of the orbit of the Earth around the sun and the orbit of the sun around the center of the galaxy that explains what we observe in the geological record. And in the geological record, they think that when we went through this cloud, it's described as a cold strand that is coming from a constellation known as the Lynx constellation. And so imagine the space weather where it's just a little colder on this strand of our galaxy. And as we go through that strand in the galaxy, our whole solar system gets cold. It's a whole new kind of space weather that I've never considered before. It's the weather that makes the sun irrelevant because we're in cold space.
Yeah, this cloud is called the Local Lynx of Cold Clouds, the LXCCS.
It's in the direction of the Lynx constellation.
Yeah.
It's a little portion.
Lynx of Cold Clouds is what it's called.
2 million years ago, it was making our planet colder than we'd been before that.
Yeah.
So where the clouds are lifting, kind of?
Well, we got out of that portion of the, I guess you'd call it the galaxy.
The galactic space.
Yeah, the interstellar space. We got beyond that Lynx arm of the galaxy and warmed up again and started a new era, a new epoch after the Pleistocene. Here we are today.
So how do they study it? Anyway, go ahead.
What's interesting is, this galaxy, it's like a big wheel and it turns.
Yes.
And we are in one of the arms, it's called the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy.
Yeah, right.
Not only are we moving in the plane of the galaxy, but the solar system is bobbing up and down as it goes around. So it's a bob. Huh. And there's this theory that, as we're bobbing, if we bob up high enough, we might get direct access to the center of the galaxy where the black hole is.
Yeah.
That we could get zapped by direct gamma ray energy from this black hole. Because of this stellar dust between us and the center of the galaxy, we can't even optically see it. We can see it through radio waves, and it goes through the dust, or infrared can go through the dust, and we can see the center of the black hole at the center of the galaxy. Uh-huh. But we might be able to bob up high enough in a point, and we might get direct gamma radiation from that. And so that would transform life on the planet and our solar system.
Well, wait a minute. I've heard that gamma ray bursters can turn this planet into a cinder. You're not talking like that, are you?
Just lower levels of that.
Lower levels, I say, just massive cancer for all.
Well, they're saying
I don't like
these things actually. Life has changed because of this gamma radiation, and different epochs have changed, and it probably developed mammals. There's a possibility.
So the mutations contributed to what is basically.
Yes. So there's positive mutations that are in a frequency that it can affect your DNA too. So, it might activate things in you. That's one of the theories out there. So we might come into this new age of Aquarius, and it might be an energetic wave coming from the center of the galaxy.
All right. Well, I hope we survive.
As we bob.
No. We were supposed to survive. It's intentional. Yes. Yeah.
We bobbed into the black hole's view.
Wow.
This is what we get.
All right. Perhaps we should ponder that while we go to a little station break and hear from some of the people who love Santa Cruz voice. Are y'all ready? All right. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Treehouse dispenses not only the finest cannabis products, but information to those who want to know how to use cannabis for maximum benefit. Hello, I'm Jenna. If you would like to know how best to use cannabis, ask your friends and neighbors at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 Soquel Drive. If you're 21 plus with a valid ID, no appointment is necessary and the information is free. Order online at OW.2024.JUN11 and pick up at our drive-thru. See you soon.
Hey, Warren, it's been a while since I've been up to your showroom and garden center in Scotts Valley. Maybe the folks out there might want to know where you are.
Absolutely. To find Knox Roofing and the Knox Garden Box Company, just head up into beautiful Scotts Valley. We're off of Highway 17 with only 2 X's to choose from. We're at 46 El Pueblo Road, next door to Scarborough Lumber and the beautiful nursery. We have a great showroom displaying all the many choices in roofing, from tile, composition, steel, flat systems in many styles, and now solar. And when it comes to wood items, we have It's All About Wood gift shop. And of course, the Knox Garden Box. What's a Knox box? Lots to look at. And while you're in Scotts Valley, check out the town. There's nice restaurants, breweries, wineries, shopping, hotels, farmers markets, and the entrance to the beautiful redwoods. Okay, folks, as always, we appreciate all of you out there. We'd love to see you at Knox Roofing and the Knox Garden Box store. And we can also come see you as well. Okay, thanks, folks.
When you need help managing the legal affairs of your family, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a prenuptial agreement or divorce settlement, need child or spousal support, or are facing custody issues or visitation rights, I will help you. I have more than 7 years' experience as a family law attorney.
When you need help, call on the Angel. Attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
Yes, and we will help you with our new Discover Your Superpower AI-powered app. More on that next week after we have the AI design it for us.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll put a little ad up, too.
Yep. Yeah. So this was kind of interesting. Dark matter has been a kind of a vexing issue in the physics world. It's kind of not real. It's no real evidence for it exists. It's just that
they
mathematically,
keep looking for it and they can't find it.
Theoretically, it should be there, but there's no evidence. And for some physicists, this failure to find it is getting kind of desperate, leading to some new radical ideas.
Do tell.
And
what are the new radical ideas?
One that got my attention was that gravity without mass. The idea of gravity without mass.
That's new. I thought gravity was the beginning of, I thought mass just inherently contained gravity.
That's right. But no, this is, I said it, radical theories. This is one where gravity without mass is an explanation for the failure to find dark matter.
Oh, I see. So we keep looking for it in the wrong place.
Or we start understanding things in the wrong way, or in a way that is not quite correct.
Okay, so what did you learn from this article?
The idea is that maybe we've been misunderstanding gravity.
Oh, I see. This new proposal says gravity without mass created by topological defects in time-space.
Space-time.
Okay. So now we're going to start looking for topological defects in space-time.
That's right. Right.
That sounds easier to find than dark matter.
Well, dark matter been around for a while, since 1932.
Yeah, but they still can't find it.
No. But they were trying to figure out back then the observation that galaxies are moving in ways consistent with them having more mass than the actual sum of their stars and gas.
Yeah, somebody added up all the mass in the visible stars and couldn't come up with enough gravity to explain it.
That's the other thing. I've been having friends telling me this. Like, we need to check this out, that a similar phenomenon exists here on Earth. That if you actually go and you count all the population of all the major cities on Earth and all the populace and you add them all up, it adds up to like 4 billion, not 8 billion. That's strange. Anyway.
That's strange. Well, that leads me. I once met a guy who was from Africa who said that in Africa, in his tribal village, when they come for the census, the people just line up and go through a bunch of times so that they won't have the right number. So let's just say that counting things is problematic
like
if you want accuracy.
Yeah.
You're not always hitting the mark. There's better ways to be accurate than counting heads or counting belly buttons. Anyway, that's an aside. Here, nevertheless, we're talking about dark matter, which, I mean, we're talking about the entire universe and trying to add up how much mass there is when we don't even know. The Hubble telescope told us that the darkest part of the sky is full of a whole bunch more galaxies. No wonder we can't find the dark matter.
Yeah, it gets complicated. But originally, back in the 30s, they were trying to figure this out through such simple explanations as counting stellar populations, that maybe they undercounted. But those explanations don't account for the amount that it's different.
Yeah, right. The math just doesn't confirm the theory. So we're looking for some new theories. We've got Professor Richard Liu, University of Alabama at Huntsville, and he's got his own spin.
Yeah. He proposes that as light passes an object like a galaxy in a gravitational lens, it's bent slightly inward by its passage. And this bend would be barely distinguishable from what would occur if there was more mass pulling on it. And the same goes for the movements of stars around a galactic center of mass. He says, since these two phenomena are the basis of our confidence that dark matter exists, an alternative process for both would render dark matter unnecessary. These defects, he doesn't know why they would exist, but these defects would be some kind of massive cosmological phase transition of the early universe. He points out that no one has been able to find any evidence at all of normal dark matter. Billions of dollars and the finest minds of our generation have been unsuccessful in finding it. So why not start to look at some fundamental issues like gravity? Maybe it works a little differently than we think it does.
Sure. This fellow is proposing something that is a mathematical model that explains maybe how the universe works. It explains gravity according to the math, not necessarily according to the theory. That
somehow gravity works differently on larger scales than we think. He points out in this piece that there have been other scientists thinking along these lines. Like there's a fairly well-known alternative theory of gravity called modified Newtonian dynamics, or MOND, M-O-N-D. Gee, with an O, it would be Mondo. Which would have meaning for me. Anyway, MOND got a fair bit of attention, but it's been proven to be more popular with journalists than with physicists. So what does that do? It's an interesting idea. It's kind of compelling, but apparently it doesn't hold water when it really comes down to the science.
Well, I think it's very interesting. Physicists are pure scientists, and they are immersed in genuine hypothesis, which means they know they don't know. And the most interesting conversations are happening with the people who are the most well-read, who have gotten their understanding from people who were guessing at an explanation, and then they're digesting what has become accepted based on those original questions. And they're saying, well, since those original questions haven't really been answered, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's ask some new questions. Maybe this is an explanation. And so I think there's a lot of that going on in physics right now, and I love listening to those conversations. There's so many podcasts with brilliant people that really express how speculative it all is.
Yes. A fun place for that is IFL Science.
Mm-hmm. Is that a podcast?
That's a website.
Oh, it's a website, right.
IFL Science.
Great.
Where that one exists, where gravity without mass is a new explanation for the failure to find dark matter.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen Luntz.
And while we're out there in terms of the fundamental aspects of universe, one more piece from a curious website called Charming Science.
Oh, charming.
Charming Science.
And of course, that would be a physics science website.
Charm is definitely one of the aspects of physics.
Charm is one of the quarks. It's the name of one of the quarks.
Yeah. Well, this piece reads, scientists discover a new type of magnetism never noticed before. Alter-Magnetism.
Alter,
like an alternate universe.
Not the kind we're used to.
No, not the kind we're used to, yeah.
Maybe like alternate electricity, alternating current, like that kind of alter?
The way they describe it, there's a magnetic family, thanks to the experiments of the Swiss Light Source, or SLS. There's this new member of the magnetic family, reported in Nature. It deals with fundamental physics. Now, just a quick paragraph on magnetism. We all know it, magnet sticking on your fridge.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's known as
ferromagnetic branch.
Ferromagnets, yeah. And since then, the family of magnetic materials has been divided into two phases. The ferromagnetic branch, those are known for several millennia. That's like
the attractive magnetic force that makes things stick. Okay.
And then they're the anti-ferromagnetic.
Oh, and that's more like where it repulses it.
Well, the anti-ferromagnetic actually doesn't show a sign of magnetism. It's like neutral. It doesn't repulse or approach. It's magnetic.
Funny.
Yeah, it's
why did they even call it a magnet?
I don't know. It's the deeper issues of understanding magnetism beyond ferromagnetics. Anyway, this third branch beyond all that is called Alter-Magnetism. They say the fundamental magnetic phases that I mentioned, defined by the specific spontaneous arrangements of magnetic moments or electron spins and of atoms that carry the moments in crystals. Ferromagnets are the type of magnets that stick to the fridge. Here, spin points in the same direction, giving macroscopic magnetism. In anti-ferromagnetic materials, spins in alternate directions, with the result that the materials possess no macroscopic net magnetization. So look at what I was saying. There's no magnetism.
Okay,
and thus don't stick to the fridge.
Thus, what we're talking about is at the level of the tiniest magnetic potential where electricity can be observed and measured and stuff. You either have ferromagnetics, which have a very well-defined north-south pole. Energy goes from negative to positive. It moves in a predictable way. Those are all the magnetic qualities of the ferromagnetic types of magnetism.
Yes.
And then the anti-ferromagnetic materials basically have the magnetic qualities canceling, like the North Pole and the South Pole are both pointing in the same direction, and so any magnetic quality would get canceled because the South Pole would cancel what the North Pole is doing, something like that.
Yes.
And so this new type of magnetism is the combination of the arrangement of spins and crystal symmetries. Okay.
Right. The spins alternate as an antiferromagnet, resulting in no net magnetization. Doesn't stick to the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
But rather than just canceling out, the symmetries give an electronic band structure with strong spin polarization that flips in direction as you pass through the material's energy bands.
So that's kind of like
Hence the
the
name
electricity that is going through the magnetic field. First it's facing one way, and then it moves, and then it faces the next way. And it's all about how the electricity is moving and the direction it's facing based on interacting with these little magnets that are crystallized underneath.
And it's part of what a developing field known as spintronics. Spintronics. Not electronics, spintronics, about the spins.
Interesting.
Yeah. Where normal electronics is mostly about electrons. Spin exploits the spin state of electrons to carry information. It's been around for some years as a field. It's still in its infancy, and they mostly use ferromagnets for spintronics. But these Alter-Magnets offer a new kind of strong spin that is non-magnetic, which is very useful in certain possible inventions that they're not describing too much just yet. Yeah. So maybe anti-gravity. That would be interesting, huh?
I think it's more related to like the research being done with single electron depth carbon, where they're using electric fields that are like a plasma that's floating across the medium.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like electricity is like water flowing over wires instead of charge running through wires. And that's what this would facilitate.
Different part of what's going on,
Yeah.
If you study how electrons pass through wires, you think, oh, they go down the center of the wire. Actually, electricity, the electrons travel on the outside surface, and they go down the outside surface of the copper cable, the wire itself. They don't travel inside, they travel on the surface side, outside.
Right.
So fatter copper wires.
What this is offering
or you have
is instead of
strands,
having a wire, instead of having like a single direction, which is like the ferromagnetic direction, there's a definite going from minus to plus. And this interrupts it by having imperfections that change the spin of the electricity. So it goes a little, turns, goes a little, turns, goes a little, turns. And somehow these properties will allow us to have a different quality of electricity that is not quite the same as the one that the wire is creating. So it has the potential, say, for creating a semiconductor in a new way, right? That allows some electricity, but not all.
The superconductor acts like this wire, and a superconductor, it allows the electron to go without any resistance down on top of the sheet. Let's say it's graphene.
Yeah, like a maglev train, right? It doesn't touch, and it goes without friction or something.
So I think if you were trying to develop a better maglev train, if you understood that as the maglev train moves over this superconducting material and it creates this electromagnetic thing, then you can take advantage of the spin as it moves. And maybe on the maglev train, you're getting these electrons as they spin in one direction, and as they move across, they spin in another direction.
Sure, yeah, you can get all of the ones facing one way on the left side and all the ones facing the other way on the right side, and then together they can push together instead of getting in the way.
There might be a way to get uses with semiconductors and superconductors and get them to spin when you want them to spin in the right direction.
Right.
With no resistance at all.
Right.
In the superconductor.
So apparently this is next generation magnetic technology known as spintronics.
Yes, and they call it unconventional superconductivity, which is kind of what you're talking about.
Right.
New insights into superconducting states that can arise in different magnetic materials.
Fascinating.
And magnesium telluride was the substance in which this was discovered. Third kind of magnetism.
Right.
Yeah, that's what telluride. It's one of those like yttrium, and there's special material sciences stuff that are very good for superconductors. You know.
Yeah.
So. Right.
Not quite ready for mainstream news. As you can see, it's a little more complicated, but very interesting. Alter-Magnetism.
Just to ground it so people can look for more.
Ground it.
Thomas Jungwirth from the Institute of Physics at the Czech Academy of Sciences is the principal investigator. So you can look for more about Alter-Magnetics in that way.
Now let's go to politics for a minute, shall we? Well, kind of politics. AI and politics.
Oh, there you go.
Wired had a really interesting piece on an AI candidate running for parliament in the UK.
Don't you love Wired?
A guy named AI Steve.
AI Steve.
Yeah.
Is this for real? June 11th.
UK, they're having big elections next month, and they're looking at having their first AI politician. AI Steve. He's an avatar of a real person named Stephen Endicott, who's a businessman that lives in the Brighton area. It's by the beach.
Running
like
for
Santa
parliament
Cruz.
as an independent.
Yeah, he's running as an independent. And he'll have his own AI that his constituency can query, kind of like you do Siri or Alexa, only you'll be talking to AI Steve. And you can ask him questions, and he'll give you answers, and he'll be able to talk to up to 10,000 people at once and find out what his constituencies really want in his community. He'll be able to
Deepak Chopra created an AI of himself.
I know, but it wasn't that functional compared to this. I mean, this sounds like if it's going to collect all the issues that a community needs to think about, from everything from garbage collection to street repair to tourism, why not have this? Voters will be able to have a one-on-one with their candidate anytime they want, or their representative, and add input, and it will go into the system, and it'll get tallied and organized so that Steve, in this case, Endicott, can actually carry out what the people want.
It's interesting. It's kind of a little bit, before we get into what's so interesting about an AI as a politician, just having somebody like this on the ballot, having the AI on the ballot instead
Allowing
of a person is a little bit like putting a pet on the ballot or a motorcycle on the ballot or something that isn't a person, right?
Well, it's got a human. It's got a human attached to it.
Right. But I think it's uncharted territory.
It is. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
AI Steve.
Right.
Yeah. And
you know what this is going to do? Can you imagine that if this AI, it can go out on the web and figure out who it's talking to? So let's say you query this AI.
Yeah.
It will know before you even ask the question everything about you. And then it knows how to appropriately respond to any question you have that would appeal to you. And so it would be like having a relative that's talking to you, that knows you from many, many years. And it can influence the way you think.
Yeah.
And
that's so funny. You're the exact opposite of the way that I think that this candidate, Steve Endicott, who is supposed to be the in-person representative of this AI, who's going to go to all the meetings and cast the votes and everything, I think he believes that he will be not so much influencing the people as doing a survey of what they really want and then tallying all of their input into a more representative view. This whole article is about whether the AI is better at
just the beginning.
collecting truthful representative views. But you're going to the next step and saying he's going to actually push non-representative views on his constituents.
That's a changer. Yes. That's certainly a potential issue.
Well, I think if you look at our current politicians, they started with the pushing the non-representative views on the constituents.
Yeah, how should special interests be handled in balance with the will of the people? If democracy was smooth, how would it operate? How would that look like?
It allows these AIs to speak from, like the Indians say, white men speak with forked tongue, right? So each of the AI can respond to any constituent and say what they want to hear and actually lie about what is really true or what they really think. They just say what they want them to think, and then get their vote. And then once they're in power, let's say, then they can just say, you voted for me and I'm here. But then ultimately it could understand how to influence the masses, and I'm sure all the parties out there are using AI to discover how to manipulate as many people to come to their side.
Oh yeah, that was the big revelation with Cambridge Analytics. And
Analytics,
in the
exactly.
last election, where they would customize tailor-made messages for micro-influencing voters and send out more messages than ever to tinier and tinier segments of the population just to drive the vote. And cheat, really. It's a form of cheating by coming up with a micro issue to get people to vote a certain way. So
Let's see. AI Steve was designed by Neural Voice, an AI company that Endicott actually is the CEO of course. He said a key element is creating your own database of information and how to inject customer data into it. He claims that the idea came from his own frustration when trying to enter politics in order to advocate for issues he cared about, like the environment. And yet when he actually got close to government people, he says that it was all about party jockeying and worrying about which seats or districts were safe and catering to special interests rather than responding to the needs of real people. So this was his answer to that frustration. He says the AI Steve will transcribe all these thousands of conversations it has with the constituents and with the voters and
analyze them
and put in policy, and they'll forward them to a group of people he calls validators. And those are regular people who can indicate whether they care about an issue or want to see a particular policy enacted.
So the AI will summarize what the voters say for his team, and then his team will push it forward to policy machine.
50% want some action on the rail trail now. You know,
right. I think that a lot of politicians basically are doing this now. They analyze how many emails are coming in around a certain issue. So he's really just using the glamour of AI to say that he's going to do it intentionally and that he wants people to know that he's using software tools to represent their views.
Yeah, he's including them. He says that so far, even though it's only been active for a few days, people have been asking questions from significant things in your community like trash collection all the way to what's going on in Palestine and Ukraine. You know, they're asking his proxy, or he's the proxy to the AI.
Right, yeah. He's the listener to the AI, and the AI is doing the tallying.
And he said the important thing is knowing what your constituents want. Sounds obvious that politicians should be told what to do by their constituents.
Well, I think after they train the AI to listen to the constituents, I think they should come up with an AI that evaluates how closely the policies reflect what the constituents want. Like, I think that the politicians should get graded on whether or not they're listening to the constituents. Like, that's how the AI can help us all win.
And get stars.
Oh, the show's over. Hey,
really? No,
thanks everybody.
We
that was fun.
We got one
minute. We got 1 minute.
My clock is a minute ahead. That's what's confusing me.
Yeah, this one.
All right.
Use the atomic clock, Mrs.
I will
Future.
use the atomic clock.
Yes, and it's true. We have less than a minute.
Now is your chance. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for a great show. Really fun hanging out with y'all.
Yeah. Thanks, Bobby, for your input on all these important issues. And next
Always
time,
a pleasure.
It'll be the middle of June, and we'll be talking to you probably down from the beach.
And thanks, Taylor.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Thanks, Taylor.
Thanks, Taylor.
Yeah. And thank you all for listening. Appreciate it. Thanks, Billy, out there.
And
Comments.
Santa Cruz Voice, we love you.
Yeah.
Happy future now, everybody.
And
have a
get
great
a chance. WWDC 24 is on now. Apple's keynote stuff at apple.com. Check it out.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Apple Intelligence.
Yes. Bye-bye.